Bring the lights down low, time to start the show. Lights, camera, you know what we mean. Behold the magic of the silver screen. Some movies rock, some movies shock. They're powerful or odd. We cover them all on your favorite pod. They're dramatic, funny, sometimes scary. That's not weird, that's extraordinary. I got the need and I've got a fever. So play me a little dream weaver. Life moves pretty fast. Some will fizzle and some movies last. I understood there would be no math. It's the 30-something movies podcast. Be excellent to each other. Peace out and word to your mother. They're from the best decades. Movie magic that never fades. Lightsabers clash, phasers set to stun. Action back from dusk till dawn. We have deep thoughts and questions three. Come share our love of the movies we see. Life moves pretty fast. Some will fizzle and some movies last. I understood there would be no math. It's the 30-something movie podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, my fellow Americans, it is the 30-something movie podcast, and we are headed on the campaign trail this time around. This is our road trip month, and so this time we're on the campaign trail to try to get our brother elected, and it's not going well. It's not, yeah. This is one of the movies that also taught me I should probably never go hiking in the mountains, because then I see that scene of him tumbling down the mountain for quite some time. And I resemble that scene, but we'll get into it. So I have with me this evening a couple of other fellow campaign workers on the campaign trail. Patrick Canigallo. Patrick, how are you doing?
Great, everybody. Good to see you, John.
It's good to see you too. Things going all right with it. We're kind of like towards the end of the school year, so it's very much like wrap up concert season and things like that.
Yeah, exactly like you said. Concert's coming up in a few days this week, and then it's our turn. We're slated to play at graduation, so we got to have a tune ready, and that will be a significant amount of equipment movement for 3 minutes of music, but it'll be worth it, and that's that.
I was very excited on May 4th to come to your classroom with Jeff was there for a little bit,
Yeah.
and I think one or two other teachers showed up, and
Yeah.
your kids played a little Star Wars music for us.
Yeah, that's a fun arrangement. They always like, we don't do it at a concert every year for obvious reasons, but like I think every year the groups all want to work on it. So I always have every group have Star Wars in their folder so we can pull it out and play through it at any time. A neat arrangement too, because it was back when there were only 6 movies. And, like it's a neat arrangement because it features music from all the different movies. Or I should say the six movies that were out
The
at
first
time.
first 6, right? Yeah, I mean, after
The
they
first
finished with a total of 8, then that was
It-
the first
and
6
you were
was, yeah.
very clear about that, of course.
Yeah. I hear there's a theoretical one that some people have talked about, but I haven't seen anything. I don't think I've seen movement on that.
No. Yeah.
All right. Bo, how are you?
I am well, John. How are you?
I'm good.
Excellent.
I'm here. I'm always happy when we're here to be able to talk movies. So,
Indeed.
Yes.
Indeed.
and I feel like
And we got a doozy tonight.
it is a doozy. And we may feel like it's a doozy in some different ways, but it's tonight we're talking about Tommy Boy 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Indeed.
Yeah.
In so many
Yeah.
ways, like I know we're going to get into the trivia, but wow. Like you read about some of the contract stuff with Chris Farley and how this movie got made, and you're like, ugh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we'll dive into that here in just a second. Very, very quickly, we spoil freely here, so just be warned. If we mention a movie you don't want to hear anything about it, then you might just hit that little skip button a couple of times, and we should have gotten it out of our system and moved on. Make sure you visit our website, 30podcast.com. You can leave a rating, voicemail. You can become a co-executive producer via Patreon. We've got a great group of co-executive producers over there. Thank you to every single one of them
Yeah.
that helps
Yeah,
support the
thank
show. We are just we're humbled and appreciative of all of that. So we're a bunch of weirdos that like to sit down and talk movies, and we're just happy that other people want to get in on that conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just quite a deal to be involved with. It's fun.
I kind of pulled a self-effacing Sam the Eagle there from the Muppets. We are all weirdos. And it's not untrue.
Everything
Not
you
untrue
just
at
said
all.
there, it's true.
Yeah. That's amazing. Everything you just said is true. All right. Jumping into our trivia for this one for Black Sheep. I keep wanting to be calling it Tommy Boy 2. I was joking about it, but now it's like stuck in my head.
It kind of is.
It kind of is. Trivia about this one. This one came out on February 2nd, 1996, rated PG-13, a runtime of 1 hour and 27 minutes. Penelope Spheris, who did Wayne's World and The Little Rascals, was director for this one. Writer was Fred Wolf, who did Dirty Work and Joe Dirt. Producer was Lorne Michaels, who did The Three Amigos. He did The Three Amigos. I'm not going to do the whole thing.
That movie needs a rewatch.
It's about time. What are we at now? This is episode 647.
Yeah.
I was going to say, well, we already got like 650 is already coming up. It might be a little, our timing might be a little off, but we could save it for 700. I was thinking 650 because that was our 50th episode, was when we did Three Amigos. But yeah, we could for 700.
That was that long ago?
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because I was 86.
Okay. Wow.
All right. Composer was William Ross, who did My Dog Skip and Ladder 49. Cinematographer was Julio Macat, who did Home Alone and Wedding Crashers. Editor was Jay Heck, who did Tommy Boy and PCU. Production company is Paramount. Budget was $20 million. Box office was $32.4 million. Flickmetrics gives it a 53%. CinemaScore gives it a B. Chris Farley, who passed in 1997, played Mike Donnelly. He was in Tommy Boy and Beverly Hills Ninja. David Spade was Steve Dodds. He was in Joe Dirt and The Emperor's New Groove. Tim Matheson was Al Donnelly. He was in Animal House and Fletch, as far as you know. Christine Ebersol was Governor Tracy Northrup. She was in Richie Rich and The Wolf of Wall Street. Gary Busey, in a role that, I don't want to say he's typecast, but kind of, was Sergeant Drake Savage. He was in Lethal Weapon and Point Break. Grant Heslov was Robbie Meagum. He was in True Lies and The Scorpion King. Timothy Carhart was Roger Covery. He was in Beverly Hills Cop 3 and The Hunt for Red October. And Bruce McGill was Neuschwander. He was in My Cousin Vinny and Lincoln. So this was a little bit of trivia on this one. This was the second and final film starring the duo of Chris Farley and David Spade following their hit Tommy Boy. And they kind of rushed production of this one. They fast-tracked this one a bit because it was released, I want to say, less than a year after Tommy Boy, because Paramount was like, okay, these two guys are super popular and we need to get them in another movie stat. So sit down, write the script. And apparently the script was written in just like a few days.
Okay.
So, yeah. And so, yes. So apparently the impetus for this was, let's make some more money. And let's make some more money with these two. And let's make sure there's another movie in less than a year. Let's make sure there's another movie with these two guys in theaters.
Okay.
Supposedly, the director, Penelope Spheris, had a little bit of a difficult time on set and kind of later described how the production was a bit challenging because she had some clashes with the studio and the creative team. So it sounds like that was not maybe the greatest experience of her life.
Okay.
And Bo, you had mentioned you had looked at some other stuff too. Did you have anything else from the trivia that kind of stood out to you?
Just that the more I read, the more it sounded like Chris Farley had no desire to do this movie. And he was basically told, oh, you're under contract, man. You're doing it. He had other projects he wanted to work on. There was something he was specifically trying to work on that he couldn't because of this movie. Like, it was just bad all around from an HR point of view, I guess I want to say.
Yep.
Which is sad. You don't think about Chris Farley being stuck to an old school, what's the word I'm looking for? An old school movie production contract, but there was a term for it back in the day. Well, doesn't matter. Yeah, you just don't think about that. You're like, don't you just get paid for the movie and move on? But you know what? You read about it still to this day. Like, Marvel signs people for deals. I was reading, this is total sidebar, but somehow an article popped up in my feed about Natalie Portman's Marvel contract is a little screwy because technically she was signed for a movie that she hasn't done yet because they didn't use her in one of the Thor films. But obviously these contracts have an expiration date, and this article didn't really get into what that means. But just on the surface, I was like, what? Studio. That is the word I could not come up with. Studio deals.
Yeah.
Good God. You read about it all back in like the golden age of cinema. You know, guys would sign with Paramount or Columbia Pictures and I'm not talking like 2-3 movies. I'm talking they would have a bulk deal and they would work for these movie studios for 10 years or whatever. But that sort of disappeared, I had thought, but I guess not as much as I thought.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was reading that Chris Farley was not very happy about having to do this one, like you said, because I guess he was originally offered the lead in The Cable Guy.
That was it.
Yeah.
And
it was
remember?
The Cable Guy, supposedly the Cable Guy was, and I think we talked about this when we did The Cable Guy not that long ago. Well, we did it this year. Part of it was like
this year?
Yeah, it was a 96. Yeah.
Time is slipping irrevocably into the past, my friends.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And because it originally, like one of the early drafts, was very different. It was much more of a straight up comedy than what it ended up becoming when it had Jim Carrey in it. And apparently, if I wrote down the right number, Chris Farley was going to get $3 million for the lead role in Cable Guy, and because he was locked into this deal with Paramount, he ended up not being able to. And by the time that this kind of all played itself out, they ended up. The Cable Guy script got to Jim Carrey, and then all of a sudden he's excited about doing it. Well, Jim Carrey is going to bring the studio more money than Chris Farley will. And so eventually Jim Carrey gets it, and Jim Carrey ends up getting paid $20 million, which was, we mentioned.
Nikes.
Right. Which I think we mentioned on the Cable Guy episode. That was the highest pay for an actor at that time for a single movie. Sony did eventually pay Chris Farley a little bit for having been considered for Cable Guy, but he got paid, I believe, less than $1 million for this movie at Paramount. So your payday could have been $3 million, and you miss out on that because you're locked into this deal and you got to make Tommy Boy 2 Electric Boogaloo for less than $1 million. So like Bo said, I'm not sure Chris Farley was very happy about this whole thing.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, let's see. This one, as we usually do, we've got, we'll play the trailer audio for you here in just a moment. Then we're going to run through major moments. That'll be where we kind of do a quick overview of the movie, like 10 moments that help kind of sum up the entire thing. And then we'll dive into some of our deeper thoughts on this one. So Al Donnelly is running for governor, and he's got the perfect platform, the perfect polls, and the perfect disaster for a brother. Mike is well-intentioned. He's high energy. He's about to give Rock the Vote a whole new meaning. When the stakes are high and the boulders are rolling, there's only one duo you can trust to save the day. That's Farley and David Spade. And unfortunately, they're the last ones you'd probably ever hire for your campaign.
Al Donnelly might just be the next governor of Washington State.
All the way to the Capitol!
There's only one small problem. His brother, Mike.
What the hell is a marquee doing here?
His heart is in the right place. Unfortunately, the rest of him never is.
Oh my God!
We've got to keep this bozo under wraps.
So now they have to find someone
Then I am your man.
to keep him under control.
Okay, good first day.
I want you to do exactly as I tell you.
Yeah, okay, keep talking.
I know a place way outside of town.
Bunk beds. I got dibs on tap.
Okay.
I got dibs on top bunk. Shut up!
So what do you want to do today?
No!
What's that black thing?
Whoa! What are you doing? Give these got him a belt. Boy, I feel like a horse's patoot.
Paramount Pictures presents
Are you or are you not the Black Angel of Death?
Chris Farley,
Power to the people! Oh, God, I'm a dead man.
David Spade,
Hey, gang. Is there an Opie convention in town?
The nitrous oxide's leaking into the car.
in a new comedy from the director of Wayne's World.
Check this out. This whole fridge is held up here just by this plug.
Black Sheep.
You okay?
I'm just dandy. I got a bowl of chocolate pudding in my underpants.
We didn't have any pudding in there, buddy.
There's one in every family.
We're going to dive into some major moments for this one. We kick things off with a lot of Chris Farley energy in this movie. Mike is trying to be supportive of his brother by driving this oversized advertisement truck for Al's campaign. But of course, he gets chased by a pack of dogs, ends up plowing the whole rig straight into a movie theater. And this is I don't know if this is his first day on the job on the campaign trail, but it's like first day on the job disaster. And we're kind of setting up exactly how much of a PR nightmare Mike is going to be for his brother. Enter David Spade as Steve Dodds. This is kind of like the worst babysitting gig ever. He's this ambitious, high-strung campaign aide who gets stuck with the job of babysitting Mike at a remote cabin just to keep him off the news. Steve only agrees because he's been promised a fancy job if Al wins, but he really has no idea that he's essentially signed up for just a fancy babysitting job. He's monitoring this complete wreck of a brother. Because this movie is not chaotic enough, we get Gary Busey as Sergeant Drake Savage.
Yeah.
When all else fails, when it hasn't gotten crazy enough, add Gary Busey. Just a pinch, maybe a dash of Gary Busey.
A dash of Busey goes a long way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You don't want to over flavor the Busey sauce.
I
Plowing ahead.
Yes.
Yes.
Steve manages to hit this crazed Vietnam vet with his rental car, and instead of calling the cops, Drake just decides to steal the car. Things are kind of going downhill from here. It eventually literally goes downhill for Mike in particular, as he does end up rolling down a mountain at some point. The villain, Governor Tracy, is not playing fair here. Her thugs burn down the rec center where Mike works. They make sure a photographer is there to catch Mike looking guilty right as the building goes up in flames. This is kind of the moment that Mike officially becomes a person of interest and gets kicked off the campaign trail for real. In one of many physical comedy sequences in this, Steve is trying to find cell service on a mountain and accidentally nudges a rock, and that one rock turns into a boulder that rolls down and basically deletes their cabin. To top it all off, the roof blows off during a storm. They get pelted by hail. It is basically the universe's way of telling them, get out, go home.
I call top bunk.
Mike ends up sneaking into a Rock the Vote concert and ends up backstage with some Rastafarians and the band Mudhoney. He gets completely disoriented. He wanders out on the stage, starts screaming weird political slogans, and finishes off by shouting, "Kill Whitey," into the mic. And that is one of the moments of this movie that I remember from the first time I watched it. Also, one of probably the most awkward parts of the entire movie.
Yeah.
Memorable and awkward at the same time. Steve gets cornered by Drake Savage and his hidden landmines, but Mike actually steps up and saves the day. He holds his own in a fight with the ex-soldier. It's enough to earn Drake's respect. And suddenly our bumbling hero is got a guy with a school bus full of weapons on his side, which may, wink, wink, come in handy a little bit later.
Okay.
This is what is referred to as Chekhov's Busey.
Reminds me of the Steve Buscemi in Happy Gilmore.
Yes.
Man,
yes.
am I glad I called that guy.
If only we got Gary Busey with lipstick.
That would have been something.
Mm-hmm.
For you.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I did a full body shiver when I imagined that.
As you should.
I think that's the right thing to do. That's the only real response. Mike finally uses his brain at some point. He realizes the election results are rigged because the vote count in Garfield County is higher than the actual population. So they're voting the Chicago way. He and Steve do some digging at the courthouse and find out that the governor won by using the names of dead people, including Drake's own father.
I mean, as you do.
Right. Vote early and vote often. It's the Chicago way.
Yes.
And so it's the dumb guys solve the conspiracy. And the finale is, it's a lot of craziness. Mike and Steve hijack a police car and crash the governor's victory party. Mike pulls a gun and holds Steve hostage just to get a microphone. Gary Busey is in the back threatening everybody with an RPG to keep the snipers away. Mike exposes the fraud. The results are flipped, and Al finally wins the election. And then at the end, just when you think there might be a happy ending, we get one last Chris Farley physical gag here. Al and Steve are headed off on a private jet to start their new jobs. Mike is there to say goodbye, but his jacket gets snagged in the plane door as it shuts, and the movie ends with Mike dangling outside the jet as it and he scream down the runway. Classic ending to a Chris Farley movie.
Yeah. Classic. Yeah.
Niner.
Classic.
Did I hear a niner in there?
It was cordless.
And now, Deep Thoughts.
I have an opinion on this matter.
Don't mince words, Bones. What do you really think?
I like it a lot. Wow. It's very deep. Thank you.
All right. When was the first time you remember seeing this?
I probably saw it like a lot of the movies of this era. It was a walking through the Blockbuster, clicking through HBO, one of those things. Saw it at home, did not see it in theater, did not pay that kind of money for that. It hits a weird comfort string for me. I enjoy Chris Farley and David Spade. I actually enjoy David Spade with Chris Farley more than I enjoy David Spade on his own.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Some of the stuff he did on his own is just weird.
I have never been a huge David Spade fan.
But as a foil for Chris Farley, he was interesting.
Yeah, once.
When he played the straight man to Chris Farley. And I think part of it is I just enjoyed that interaction. And I think back then, for me, it was more Chris Farley, more better. And so I enjoyed it a lot. And so it hits a comfort string for me in a weird comedic way that I think I still enjoy it. I don't know that I would say it holds up, but I think for what it is, it's not supposed to be an epic bit of film or anything. So I think, yeah, I enjoyed it.
Patrick, when was your first viewing of this one?
I think it was sometime in college. I didn't see it when it first came out. Sometime later in college. For me, it was Chris Farley movie. I was hanging with friends. We laughed at the funny stuff. When I rewatch it this time, I think of it as like just Tommy Boy, but just not executed as well. And it pains me to say, because I know of all the effort that goes into making the movie. And if someone likes the movie, I mean, I won't ever, fault him for it. And I find Chris Farley funny. And I know, Bo, what you're talking about with the chemistry between him and David Spade. I think, and especially hearing the backstory where the studio was forcing them to make this movie. And I know that I read a little bit, and if I might have this correctly, but I think this is where Chris Farley started to struggle with the addiction again. And I don't know if he had ever really kind of gone clean, and then this kind of brought it back, or this exacerbated it. But I felt like in this movie, sometimes like he's kind of always the butt of the jokes. Whereas like in Tommy Boy, you can see like, he's funny, but it's not like you're always laughing at him, right? Like there's some growth there. There's some development. There's a heartwarming quality to it. And I think in this one, they just kind of go for, we're just going to hit the laughs, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so again, if I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that, if you like that style of humor, if you like Chris Farley and David Spade, but I think it just feels like that. And then to hear that, okay, well, the company, they were just trying to make another movie, and hey, this formula worked, so we're just going to use this formula, but there really wasn't much different. And I think that's just kind of the hard part, when do I enjoy it? And it's like, okay, I'll laugh at the jokes and I'll laugh at the scenes. Yeah, that's kind of, it was shallow, right? Or mile wide, inch deep type stuff. There wasn't that heartwarming part of the story. There wasn't that development of the character. It was just kind of the Chris Farley gags. But that being said, there's plenty of movies that I see that have something that I really enjoy. And it's just like, okay, well, I'm just going to enjoy it. Not every movie needs to be, Citizen Kane, or It's a Mad, 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 Mad World, right? Like you can laugh at stuff and that's that.
Yeah, I think for me, the first time I saw this, probably college. I don't remember seeing it in high school, but probably college. I would imagine at the time it was probably one of those like, turn your brain off, watch it with your buddies, laugh at the jokes and other stuff. And I think watching it this time around, again, it's been probably 25 years since I've seen this. Watching it this time around, and I think especially because we just did Tommy Boy not that long ago, watching it this time, I was kind of the opposite mind. This watch for me was More Chris Farley, not more better. And I just kind of found myself, I'm like, if it's just him, like getting run over or rolling down the hill or screaming or whatever one more time, like, can we do something else? The guy's not a terrible actor. I don't know if he's gonna win any Oscars, but he's not a terrible actor. So can we do more than just the physical comedy where he is screaming and flailing his hands and either running into something or being dragged on the back of something? Or, I mean, I would like some variety in what's going on here. And so I think watching it this time around, that started to grate on me a bit. And I've never been a huge fan of David Spade, kind of for what you mentioned in particular. Like, I think I kind of tolerate him as the foil for Chris Farley. Like, they do work well together. I just don't know that the way David Spade delivers that humor, because I mean, I like plenty of other comedians who have the same style of humor as him. I just don't know that I like his delivery of that humor. So I've never been a real big David Spade fan. What was that show that David Spade was on? It was Just Shoot Me? Was it the name of the show? Yeah. I remember trying to watch a couple of episodes of that, and it just, because it was David Spade, I was like, nah, I'm okay. If it was anybody else, I'd maybe give it a little bit more of a try, but I don't know. I've just never been, I don't actively dislike the guy. I just don't gravitate towards him as a, of anybody who came out of Saturday Night Live. Like, he's not one that I'm going to gravitate towards. To your point, especially if it's a solo David Spade thing or where he's the lead or something like that. So I think for me, watching this time around, I think a little bit, Pat, to your point, I'm watching this going, I kind of just want to go back and rewatch Tommy Boy. Like, if I had a choice between watching this and watching Tommy Boy, I'd probably just go back and rewatch Tommy Boy. Because I like the execution of Tommy Boy better. I feel like Tommy Boy has a little bit more charm, a little bit more heart to it. And I don't know if it's the fault of this one that it was so rushed that it didn't feel like it had that. Tommy Boy has that story where he's trying to do right by his family business and for his dad and everything else. And this one, there's the whole thing of, well, I'm the bumbling idiot that's trying to help my brother out, but it just didn't feel as fleshed out, and it just didn't feel as, I don't know, maybe natural as it did in the previous movie. And so I just didn't, I don't know. I had a hard time connecting with this one.
Yeah.
Plenty of funny scenes. Like, there's some good stuff. There's some funny scenes in there. I actually, thinking of like the charm and the heart part of it, had you given me maybe a little bit more of him working at the rec center and working with the kids and playing football with the kids and play up some more of that stuff. Like, maybe he is a bumbling idiot, but he does have these strengths. And maybe we can spend a little bit less time of him being a bumbling idiot. And maybe we could, show how, instead of being a bumbling idiot, maybe just show how he's kind of this innocent guy that doesn't know better.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd almost prefer that to the, let's scream, oh my God, and start flailing our arms and, be hanging off the side of a plane or whatever. Because by the time I got to him hanging off the side of the plane, I'm just sitting there going, is this over yet?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm ready to be done. I hope the plane takes him away because I'm ready to be done. So, and again, I say that I'm probably coming across a little harsh. I say that I don't hate this movie. Watching it this time around, I was like, nope, I'm done. I've reached my Chris Farley movie quota. I enjoy a lot of Chris Farley's SNL stuff a whole lot more than his movie stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well,
nothing beats him and Patrick Swayze as Chippendale dancers.
No. And I think too is sometimes with the movies, is there a story that's trying to be told there, or is it just something to kind of connect a series of vignettes, sort of like you take Saturday Night Live skits and just string them together, right? Like, did you flesh it out and say, okay, well, we're going to take this and then concept or whatever. Like I said, write a movie that flows, has an A story, a B story, the first scene or the first act, the second act, like this in points to seem like, okay, well, here's the next funny short that they want to put in front of us. And that's where I think, we run afoul of those things is, that's just a matter of that's not a matter of acting or comedy delivery and all that. It's just a matter of writing and structuring the movie.
Now there were a lot of, like I said, there were a lot of funny scenes in this one, like plenty of funny stuff. And it just, like I said, to your point too, it kind of just didn't feel like it was quite as well put together as Tommy Boy, but there were still some funny moments. There were still some funny and some like regular, what I think of as regular like Chris Farley type quotes.
Mm-hmm.
What's the one about the horse's patoot?
I don't remember about the.
Well, don't I feel like it's something like that. Well, don't I feel like a horse's patoot? Like that's one that I regularly regularly think of with Chris Farley.
I mean, I love the bit with the bunk bed.
Yeah, there's the part where he's like on stage and like nothing is going well. There's one small step for man, one giant. I have a dream, which kind of sounded like, being someone who teaches middle school social studies, that kind of sounds like the way maybe like a 7th grader would try to string together historical quotes.
Sure.
Yeah. And of course, there's the classic middle school humor when he's finishing off the joke. And so he says, wrecked him, damn near killed him.
Damn near killed him. And you got the kill Whitey stuff is funny. I mean.
Yeah.
Almost funnier than the kill Whitey part is when they cut to the Rastafarians and they're over there like, no.
That is actually what makes it so funny.
Right. That was a funny
this
scene,
movie and Tommy Boy both, they lean into more physical comedy, and that's some of the best stuff. Like the Rastafarians realizing their audience at the moment going, no. Oh. I was not involved in this story, but I have a relative who had a similar, not quite as destructive situation with a bat. I believe it was eventually caught in a toilet in that story.
Okay.
But yeah, bats in cabins. It's a thing, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it makes you wonder if one of the writers, like, had it happen. Like,
is this personal experience? Yeah.
Yeah, the way it's written, you're just like, oh yeah, that happened to some dude.
Mm-hmm. And as much as you don't want to have bats around, I remember my grandmother always hated this. My grandfather, apparently there was a bat, I want to say in their attic of their house. And instead of getting rid of it, he started feeding it. Like he fed it, he gave it a name. Its name was Igor.
Nice.
And that was his bat for a while. And I think when my grandmother found out, she was not thrilled.
I'm going to go with no.
Did not cause happiness.
No, No. Yeah. There was a moment in here, what was the line where it's I think it was towards the end, and Mike is yelling, we've all been screwed by the governor, and now I'm going to screw her. It felt a little bit like the line from School of Rock when it's like, now I know that I've touched your kids, and I think some of them have touched me too, at the parent-teacher conference in School of Rock. It's kind of that. It's like, it's a little bit of like,
yes,
that kind of humor, the I don't realize what I just said kind of a deal.
Right.
Yeah.
That's funny.
All right. Well, before we go on to 3 questions, anybody have any final thoughts on Black Sheep?
Have any final thoughts? I think if you're a fan of Chris Farley, I think definitely see it, especially if you're a completist and want to just see all his work. And if you're like only going to watch one, then I think, obviously we've talked about how much we like Tommy Boy, but Chris Farley was just, and David Spade together were incredible. And Chris Farley was just such a gifted guy. Unfortunately, just so sad, went before his time, but he's a funny guy. And then echoing what I said before, the sad part is, you just know how tragic that story was. Chris's, and then when you see a lot of his comedy is he's the butt of the jokes and doing the silly stuff and falling and all that, which, that whole physical comedy thing, I mean, that's just not easy. I mean, that's not cheap laughs, right? And it does take a toll on the body and the whole thing. But sometimes it feels like, okay, well, they're just putting that guy out there to always be the butt of the jokes. That was hard to see, but, incredibly funny guy.
Yeah. We didn't talk too much. The one thing I did want to mention too is we didn't talk a whole lot about the director herself.
Oh yeah,
she was pretty well known for some of her SNL adjacent. I mean, she did Wayne's World, and so that was probably her biggest hit was Wayne's World in '92. And before that, I think she did her first documentary in 1981, The Decline of Western Civilization, and that was it was kind of a look at like the Los Angeles punk music scene.
Okay.
And so it kind of got her established as, she was kind of the director or a voice for the like subcultures of Los Angeles. And then her second movie, I think, was not a documentary. It was a drama. It was Suburbia. And that was more of a kind of a look at like runaway punk rock kids. And so she's kind of like in that whole like punk rock kind of scene for her first two. And then her third movie was Wayne's World.
Jeez.
And then after Wayne's World, so this is where things change a little bit. After that is Wayne's World. So it was, there may have been more in between that. I got to go back and look on her IMDb. But 81 and 83 were I think her first couple of movies. And then we jump in 92 to Wayne's World.
Wow.
And so we then start to get kind of a very different style of movie then to what she has done before. I wanted to jump onto her IMDb real quick and make sure I wasn't missing other like fairly important ones. She had done their Decline of Western Civilization. And then I want to say there were some other maybe music videos. Oh yeah, she did a Megadeth music video. Other like little short film type things. There was a couple of other movies here and there. And then she did a couple of like Decline of Western Civilization Part 2, Megadeth, Night Ranger music video. So she did a bunch of Black Sabbath music video, and then Wayne's World. And then she did the music video for Alice Cooper, Feed My Frankenstein. Oh yeah, she did do. Okay. And then after that, we have an interesting series of stuff for a little bit. After Wayne's World in 93, she does the Beverly Hillbillies movie.
That was the other one. That was my IMDb is not loading for some reason.
We get into like this almost like classic TV show kind of thing that she does. She does the Beverly Hillbillies movie, and then the next year she does the Little Rascals. And then after that, it's like a 2-year break. Who's your favorite Little Rascal? Is it Spanky or Alfalfa? And after she does Little Rascals, then 2 years later, she does Black Sheep. And so you got a weird little detour. And I want to say, I'm just looking through the rest of her stuff here. I want to say after Black Sheep, she might kind of try to get back to what she had been doing before. She does another one called Decline of Western Civilization Part 3. Did she do one with the Wayans brothers? Oh, no. Oh, gosh. I've never seen this movie. I've never even heard of this movie. It's another one with David Spade, but it's Marlon Wayans and David Spade called Senseless. I've never seen this before. I've never heard of it. Well, that's quite on IMDb, when it lists the top 3 stars, it's Marlon Wayans, it's David Spade, and it's Brad Dourif.
That's something.
So you got Marlon Wayans, David Spade, and Grima Wormtongue.
Why not?
Yeah. All right. Well, one of my last questions for us is Gary Busey. Do we like unhinged Gary Busey, or do we prefer, maybe getting him a little bit closer to like a Point Break Gary Busey?
The older I get, the more I like let Busey be Busey. Not sure I would have said that before.
Yeah, I mean, you got him in Under Siege, was just a little bit before this. You've got him obviously Point Break. You've got him here in Black Sheep. He's creepy as heck in The Firm, just a few years before this. He's so good at being creepy. And then he kind of goes off the rails, and he goes from creepy to crazy.
Yes.
Predator 2.
Mm-hmm.
Lions, tigers, bears. My.
Or do you say,
Yeah, that's very different. If George Takei had gotten that part instead of Gary Busey, lions and tigers and bears, my. That's very different.
We love you, George.
Yes. It's a special agent Sulu.
I love it. Section 31, meet
Right.
Hikaru Sulu.
Mm-hmm. I've joined Section 31 as a very special agent. I don't need a phaser. I have my fencing sword. Oh, my. Huh?
We're ill.
We are. But from what I hear, there are people who do like our Star Trek impersonations. So if we ever have to...
one person I must know?
Right. Yeah. I must know. Get used to disappointment. Okay.
Tell Sharon. Thank you.
Yeah. I guarantee it's not her.
Yeah, because she's smart. She doesn't listen to this crap.
Right. I'm
John,
not getting any.
I was going to say, I think they like your impersonations. I think that's the one. right there. I don't know that I can bring any impersonations with that.
Have you, why don't you try your George
No.
Takei right now?
No, we're not. That's not going to happen.
No? Okay. Do you have a Captain Kirk?
No, I got
Okay.
nothing. It's got to be spur of the moment. It's got to surprise me included.
Okay. All right. Well, we will. We will trick you into it at some point.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Would you like to do a Sean Connery pretending to be George Takei? No. Okay.
No. No.
Thought it was worth it. My. Yes. All right. Well, okay. We'll trick you into it at some point. Okay. All right. I believe, friends, that I have tallied the votes, and it is time for 6 questions. I believe that's how many questions we had in the votes this time around, and 3 of them are from dead people. So we'll see how that goes.
He asks each traveler 5 questions. 3 questions. 3 questions.
It's impossible to answer.
Impossible because you don't know the answer.
Nobody could answer that question.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions. I want to have them answered immediately.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
All right. Question number 1. What is your favorite SNL political sketch?
Now this
was an unfair question, I recognize.
Yeah, they're all.
So the one that first popped into my head is not my answer because it's only vaguely political. But Robert De Niro did the cold open, and it was a press conference where he is playing the director of Homeland Security. And he has some fun pronouncing the names of the terrorists they are hunting.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do remember this one, yes.
That is some good stuff, but it's only vaguely political. So I think, even though there are hundreds, and I have some honorable mentions, but I don't want to steal anybody's, so I won't say them yet. But I got to go back to the classic, the one I reference more often than I should, the one we have a drop for.
Oh, yeah.
I understood there would be no math.
Mm-hmm.
Still has to be my favorite. Now, there's a ton, but that's the one I got.
Yeah. Because she goes off and it was a Jane Curtin, I think, goes off and starts listing a bunch of statistics and other things. And you can just see like his entire face just starts to like, he just glosses over.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually it's like, it was my understanding that there would be no math during the debates.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that it's Jane Curtin is just great because then you start thinking about, Jane, you ignorant slut. It's just so good. I mean, that era of Saturday Night Live was so fun.
And I got to echo you, Bo, that era was incredible. Who played Jimmy Carter when he was on the call-in show?
Dan Aykroyd.
Yes.
That was Dan Aykroyd. Okay, because I remembered him as playing Dick Nixon and walking up and down and talking to the pictures. And I thought that one was pretty funny, too. It was when he played President Nixon, and how Nixon used to walk the halls and like talk to the pictures and everything. And Dan Aykroyd was pretty incredible at that. But then, I thought he was too. But yeah, Jimmy Carter, the call-in radio show where he's talking the guys through, like, you know, he had a bad trip on drugs or something, and he's talking them through it. And
I took some pills.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we need to go to no. Let me try to talk him down here. Now, were they little orange pills, barrel shaped? Okay, what you did was you took some orange sunshine. Now, here's what you got to do.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I thought those two were great, and obviously, Bo, what you had mentioned was incredible. But yeah, that old era of Saturday Night Live was just amazing. I'll tell you, I think I'm going to say the modern era, but when like the stuff that wasn't reruns, but the stuff I grew up watching, Dana Carvey's impersonation of George Bush was incredible.
Yes.
Oh my God, yes.
And that's the one that I'd have to put as my favorite sketches.
To repeat again, 1,000 points of light.
Coming together. Middle.
Not gonna do it. Wouldn't be prudent. Right, we actually quote that one around our house quite a bit. Not gonna do it. Wouldn't be prudent.
What did Did President Bush have Dana Carvey like appear with him?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I was going to say, I know that I remember President Obama did that with like the anger translator, the Key
Yes,
and Peele.
Luther, the anger translator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I remember President Bush having Dana Carvey appear there too, which is just a master stroke of genius there. But yeah, it's fun. So I guess that would be my answer.
My favorite, and I wanted to look up the date for this one too. So I looked up the date and even the transcript because I was like, I'm going to forget half of what was in this, even though I've seen it so many times. Rob Lowe was the host for this episode on October 7th of 2000. And this was the first presidential debate between George W. Bush and Vice President Al Gore.
Oh, boy.
And this was the moderator, Jim Lehrer, was played by Chris Parnell. Al Gore was Darrell Hammond, and George W. Bush was Will Ferrell. And from the get-go, like, I don't think there's a down moment in this entire sketch that they did. Jim Lehrer starts it off, and I've got the whole thing right here. Good evening, I'm Jim Lehrer. Welcome to the first of 3 debates between Texas Governor George W. Bush and Vice President Al Gore. Now let's meet the candidates. And then they shake hands, whatever. And then he starts off, before we begin, I've been asked by the Bush campaign to announce that for the next 3 hours only, viewers in the states of Michigan, Missouri, and Pennsylvania have the option of free pay-per-view, courtesy of the Republican National Committee. On Channel 62, The Perfect Storm with George Clooney and Mark Wahlberg. And he goes through the whole, like, here's everything you could be watching other than this debate. Please don't watch this debate. And then I love when they get into it, like Darrell Hammond, his Al Gore was just awesome. I loved his Al Gore. Anytime he did Bill Clinton and Jesse Jackson, all of his impersonations, I just absolutely loved Darrell Hammond's impersonations. I still, when Bill Clinton was doing the movie reviews, he did the movie reviews and he was talking about, what was it, Independence Day?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, so I don't know if y'all have seen this movie. It's called Independence Day. And there's a young, idealistic president having to deal with a hostile Congress. And his wife is tragically killed in a helicopter accident. Did I mention how much I love this movie? But then he goes in this one, in the 2000 debate, he goes into it. And his Al Gore is just, it's top notch because he goes, and he's got that very kind of slow way of speaking that Al Gore kind of had. Well, Jim, Governor Bush and I have 2 very different plans to offer tax relief to American families. In his plan, the wealthiest 1% of Americans would receive nearly 50% of the benefits. My plan, Jim, is different. Rather than squander the surplus on a risky tax cut for the wealthy, I would put it in what I like to call a lockbox.
Lockbox.
Governor Bush, your response. I don't know what that was all about, but I'll tell you this. Don't mess with Texas. I didn't mess with Texas. Governor Bush, I listened very carefully to the vice president's remarks, and I honestly do not believe that he messed with Texas. Now, this is the one, when you get to the very end of it, there's a couple of different things in this one where he starts listing off. Does he start listing off the different? Yeah, it's Governor Bush, this question is for you. Concerns foreign policy. Last week in Serbian elections, we saw the apparent defeat of President Slobodan Milosevic by challenger Vojislav Kostunica. Yet Milosevic refused to step aside, and he starts listing off a whole bunch of different people's names.
Mm-hmm.
And then Will Ferrell goes, well, first of all, I think that any instability in that first country you mentioned is troubling. And clearly, that second guy you spoke of, he beat the first guy. Now, personally, I favor seeking the diplomatic help of the person I'm going to call guy number 3. But I'm not going to pronounce any of their names tonight because I don't believe that's in our national interest. But the absolute best that I think has been quoted, I don't even know how many times, is they get to the end and like, we're running out of time. Each candidate will now give a brief closing statement. And like, well, no, we've run out of time. We don't even have time for a closing statement. I need to ask each candidate to sum up in a single word the best argument for your candidacy. Governor Bush, strategery. Vice President Gore, lockbox.
Yep, that was on my honorable mention list.
Uh-huh.
It's too good.
I don't know how many times I have watched that particular sketch. I mean, there's so many, the ones you guys mentioned too. Like I have any of the political ones, it's whether it's Chevy Chase as Ford or if it's Dan Aykroyd as Jimmy Carter. Like He used to have like all the best of SNL VHS tapes, and they would have these entire sections of it that were just the presidential impersonations.
Mhm.
And they're so good.
Yeah. I mean, it's just amazing.
And any of the more recent stuff too. James Austin Johnson, the guy that currently does the Donald Trump impersonations on SNL.
Mhm.
I mean, it is outstanding. You close your eyes and you kind of forget that that's not actually him speaking.
Right.
But favorite of all time has got to be the first presidential debate between Bush and Gore.
Yeah.
Lockbach.
Did they have one from a little bit earlier when it was Clinton and Ross Perot, and who was the third person they were running against?
Well, because
That would have been Bush. It would have been Bush, Clinton, and Perot, right?
It would have, but let's see. So Perot, though, I think Perot always got played by Dana Carvey.
Okay, then.
So I'm trying to think when he was playing Ross Perot, who was playing Bush?
And then who played his vice presidential candidate?
Did he do both?
So I'm not sure how, though. Now that I think
so
about it.
maybe they never had Bush and Perot at the same time.
Yeah, because I can't picture who else it would have been, but
because then who was his vice presidential candidate with Perot? Because then I think didn't oh man, I'm just forgetting every name tonight. Phil Hartman? Didn't Phil Hartman play whatever that guy's name was? And maybe I'm just messing it all up. But I remember Ross Perot being pretty funny.
Yeah. Well, Ross Perot's running mate in 1992 was Vice Admiral James Stockdale.
Gridlock! I can't remember who played him, but there was some great ones with Perot trying to leave him by the side of the road.
Yep.
And he's running. Gridlock! God. He was a shouty fella.
Yes. All right. Question number 2. What's your favorite political movie?
This was also difficult for me, Jim.
I understand.
This one was not as difficult as I thought it was going to be.
Guys, we've had so many episodes. We cannot rest on our laurels. I mean, I don't know what that means, to rest on your laurels. It seems like that's, especially, Bo, you and I, especially people of our size, I don't feel like laurels have enough support for us to rest on them.
That's fair.
So
I would just assume that the laurels would be on a nice, soft mattress.
The laurels are on a lazy boy.
Yes.
Okay.
Is this not what everyone pictured?
I'm picturing it now. Laurels on a beanbag chair.
Laurel and Hardy.
Yes.
Give it to us, Pat.
For me, it's The American President. I enjoyed the message in the movie. I enjoyed the movie. And I started thinking about all the different iterations and films and all that kind of thing out there. Yeah, I kind of always come back to that. Like the acting, the messaging, the writing, the whole kit and caboodle there.
I was contemplating a daily double with you there, Pat.
Okay, did I steal your thunder?
No, not at all. I had a few queued up, but good call on that. It is an amazing film. I'm going to keep with my theme a little and go classic. I'm going to go All the President's Men.
You and I are going to daily double.
Still have the daily double.
Yeah. Because that one, when we actually first watched that one in my journalistic writing class in high school.
Okay.
So I remember watching that one. I was like, this is why I would like to possibly become a newspaper reporter, because this is intriguing. This looks fun.
I was struggling with a few that I was looking at, like, are they actually political? Like, In the Line of Fire, it's more of an action movie with a political thing to it. But then I went down a rabbit hole for a little while, I should warn you. Charlie Wilson's War.
Yes, that's
really good.
Yep, that's my honorable mention.
Primary Colors, which I haven't seen in a billion years.
I haven't seen that one in a long time. I remember that one being good, yeah.
Any version of The Manchurian Candidate. There seems to be several. I haven't seen all of them, and then a personal favorite of mine, the quirky bent of our podcast, I think it needs to be mentioned that The Distinguished Gentleman is distinguished in all the ways.
Yes.
13 Days, which I believe was a TV movie, but also very fun.
Was 13 Days a TV movie? That didn't come out in theaters?
Or am I thinking there was a movie made on the same topic that was also a TV movie? I could have that backwards. I thought it was like a TBS or a TNT thing, but I can't prove that.
Not sure. The one I know of is it did come out in theaters.
Okay, so maybe I'm thinking there's another movie about the Cuban Missile Crisis that was like a made-for-TV movie or something. And depending on how political you want to, like, what you consider politics, Conclave was...
Oh, yeah. That was a good one.
Outstanding, too. The Post was really... Yeah, this was a hard one for me. Oh, my God.
Did you miss the one I was about to mention?
Dave's
I don't know. Go ahead.
Dave?
Oh, no. That's
Okay.
good, too.
Yeah.
No. And this one is so political, I'm actually kicking
Wag
myself
the
for
Dog.
not
Very
thinking
good
of it
movie.
sooner.
Very good movie.
Wag the Dog.
Yeah.
Oh, I showed that to Donna not too long ago. So good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm shocked no one mentioned Air Force One.
Get off my plane.
I just have fallen down that rabbit hole of some of his
Harrison Ford
interviews
kick right
and
now, so
he's just such a humorous guy, and just he plays that grumpy old man, and like, gosh, it's just great, and he really can just bring looks and comedy. And the one I can't just keep watching is he's being asked, and he's playing some role where it's like so how does it feel playing an old man, grumpy, kind of at the twilight of his career? Or how do you identify so well with that? And Harrison Ford just looks at him, or how does it feel? No, that's what it was how does it feel playing someone at the end of his career and kind of grumpy? And he just stares at him, and it just speaks volumes, like, you're really asking me that? Is this and the guy's starting to get nervous, and then at perfect timing, Harrison Ford just goes, "It's nice." Yeah, it's just, he is so good. I mean, it's just fun watching him being interviewed and the whole thing. It's great. And of course, his movies are amazing.
So, funny story about Air Force One. Back when VHS was still the preferred method of purchasing and watching movies, I don't think that Sharon and I paid much attention. We knew that something like Air Force One was a type of movie that my mother-in-law would enjoy. It's got Harrison Ford, it's political intrigue, it's action, it's all that stuff. And over the course of a few years, I'm not sure we really paid that much attention to what we were doing. We ended up at different times forgetting that we had already bought her a copy of Air Force One. And I believe she ended up, I'll have to ask for confirmation on this. I believe she ended up with 3 VHS copies of Air Force One. I want to say we might have bought all 3 of them for her.
That is perfect.
So I'll have to double check that. But I feel like I think final count was 3 copies of Air Force One.
That's
if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So clearly it's a movie that is well loved in our family. All right. Question number 3. Which political office, like elected political office, do you least understand?
So this one,
I don't know what a comptroller is.
Yeah. Okay. So I had 2.
That's mine.
2 branches, and
I know it's something financial, but I don't know that I necessarily, if somebody, and here's me talking as a middle school social studies teacher that's supposed to know this stuff. I'm not sure I fully understand exactly if you made me describe to you what a comptroller does, the only thing I could tell you right now is I think they handle state financial management, but
where's the line between a comptroller and a treasurer?
Correct.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
I know there's a thing, I just don't understand it. The other problem I have in a political context is the lawyers and the departments of justice and who works for whom, and
who does number 2 work for?
Right, you've got attorneys general, you've got but the White House has a general counsel, you've got that gets a little murky for me. Yeah. And also the other thing, sorry, I don't want to eclipse Pat.
Pat doesn't have much to eclipse on this one, so I'm kind of like listening. I'm going to be like, Ed Norton in The Italian Job. Spoilers. I'm just going to take one of all your answers. So just, go ahead.
Bigger departments get more confusing, or that have larger umbrella titles. Like, so if we're talking about the office itself, right? What is the day-to-day things that a secretary of, say, commerce actually does?
What would you say you do here?
You do here. Because we also have a Secretary of Labor. So labor and commerce, I feel like there's got to be some overlap there somehow.
You would think so.
Right? I know, get me started how the Secret Service works for the Treasury, but that's a whole other.
Well, that's even FBI, weren't they originally Treasury?
So here's what. Yeah.
Probably. I know they're DOJ now, but yeah, I mean, that's the whole bonkersness of it. And I know the worst part is my knowledge is outdated because I don't keep up with all the inner workings. I've recently read a lot about how they formed Homeland Security. Technically, the Secret Service works for Homeland now. But then who's investigating the counterfeiting? Because that used to be part of the Secret Service's job.
Yeah.
I have so many questions now. Every time I learn a little more, I get more questions.
Okay, a real quick search has maybe helped shed some light on the difference between a comptroller and a treasurer.
Cool.
All right, so this is for the two people that have still held on and are still listening to this episode.
God love you.
We've narrowed it down to just the diehards. These are the ride or die 30-something podcast fans. So thank you for being here. A comptroller's right. Hi, Mom. How are you doing? Comptroller is somebody who oversees accounting operations, prepares financial reports, handles payroll taxes, and monitors internal controls. A treasurer manages cash flow, oversees investments, and manages banking relationships and raises capital. So maybe the easiest way to put it is, it says here, treasurer is cash flow, comptroller is records.
Okay, so here's
Have I
even
made
more
it as
interesting
clear as
question.
mud?
In more of a larger context, would a comptroller work for a treasurer or the other way around, or are they separate? Right. I don't either. If I knew that.
So it looks like, and doing a very quick search real fast, it looks like in the corporate world, if you have a comptroller and a treasurer, then those are separate, like parallel type positions, but both report to a CFO.
Okay.
In terms of government, I don't know.
Well, because sometimes the little bit I do know is I can say that a treasurer, at least in the public sector, can often be a board level position.
Okay.
Whereas a comptroller might be an employee. Now, that's not always the case, and I wonder, I don't know. It's the kind of stuff that really messes with your head.
Yeah. All right. Well, before we wrap up, Pat, did we get yours? Did you pick and choose from?
I got nothing to add. It all confuses me what they do. Yes. Well, let me. Okay.
They're also lovely. Why can't I have
to the
three
Office
heads?
of Homeland Security?
Yes.
Yeah. I never said that. No. Yeah. We did just watch Taxi Driver, so be careful. Yeah. All right. That's going to do it for our episode on Black Sheep. We're about halfway through our road trip month. So far, we've done Bottle Rocket was last week. Black Sheep was this week. Get on the Bus, the Spike Lee movie Get on the Bus, is going to be next week. And then we are going to wrap it up at the end of this month. I believe with some special guests are going to join us. We're going to finish our road trip off by heading out to Vegas and then back to Washington, D.C. as we travel along with Beavis and Butthead as they do America.
For my bunghole.
You have TB? Are you threatening me? And then our Patreon episode was Taxi Driver from 1976. And our Patreon short for this month is either Masters of the Universe or Supergirl or both. Who knows? I have a lot of movies I want to see this summer. So we can throw them all in there and it'll be totally fine. That is going to do it for this one. Thank you, Bo, and thank you, Pat, for being here with me.
Thank you, John.
All right. Everybody, as always, be excellent to each other. Go watch some good movies, and we will see you back here next time for Get on the Bus.